Let's start off with this Steelers-Dolphins game preview. Obviously, we know primetime matchup down in the MIAO. Definitely excited about it, and it's looking like both teams are going to be, they should be both relatively healthy. Obviously, we have some little question marks that we're going to see with
they do
today's.
As well. Yeah, a couple question marks.
Correct. But in terms of like our main people, both sides should be pretty close enough. But 3-3 Miami Dolphins. How we feeling about them, man?
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe we're considered 7-point underdogs right now.
That is I did not know that was the spread until you told me that. That is.
It's
low-key kind of
mind blowing
to
me.
That's kind of disrespectful.
Coming off the game that we just had against the Bucks,
mm-hmm.
and then just literally watching this Miami team for a few of their games. Well, I saw a lot of their early games, but even some of these games where they've done the whole Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson thing.
Yeah,
I don't think they're that good. I really don't. I think the 3-0 start was a little bit of a fluke. Now, are they still a solid team? Are they going to be able to compete week in and week out throughout the rest of their schedule? Sure, but I just don't think they're as good as everyone's thinking. Maybe it's because they were 3-0 with Tua, and then Tua left. They're 0-3.
Now he's coming back.
Now he's back. Oh, they're just going to go exactly back to what they were at the beginning. But if you watch those games, I didn't think they were that good at the beginning at all, because it was cool they were winning, but we talked about this in yesterday's podcast. I just didn't think it was sustainable. It was a fourth down, chuck it up. It was you got to give credit, because when Tua makes a good throw, receiver makes a good catch, and coverage and whatnot, that's a good play, but I don't think you can rely on that. The stuff that's sustainable is getting good drives going, playing like really sound defense. It's just been too up and down with them, and that's even whenever they did have Tua. So, yeah, I'm really surprised about this, the whole 7-point underdog. But I'll take it, whatever. I'll take Vegas's money or whatever betting app that I uses money, because I'm just gonna bet Steelers money line. I'll even take the points on maybe some parlays and whatnot, and just add to my bankroll.
Hey, when in doubt, DraftKings. That's always the one to go to, ladies and gentlemen. Promo code is most, man.
Exactly.
If you need guidance on that, But let me think, man. When I think of this Miami Dolphins team, it's very spot on what you were saying, in the sense that they're not a play in and play out scary team. They're an explosive team. Very different in terms of what we're talking about. So play in and play out scary. It's kind of like how we look at Tampa. It's like, man, they can move the ball consistently, right? They can throw the ball. You think of the Chiefs and the Bills. Like, man, not only can they throw, but they can run it. They're always on schedule. They're always able to just move. But they, at the same time, can get an explosive play. They can take the top off of a defense. The Dolphins, they don't have that ability to just consistently move the ball. At times, their offense is very stagnant. The difference, though, is they are very explosive, and their productivity boils down to two players. There's no, mystery about it. It's Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. It's the reason why one is leading the league in receiving yards, and the other guy's number 5 in the league with receiving yards. Their run after catch ability, the offense's intentional just force feeding these guys. They make sure that they're going to get ample opportunity to stretch the field vertically, but also to threaten your guys in terms of their tackling. And that's the stuff that kind of gets overlooked when you're talking about this Dolphins team, in particular their offense. It's not just Tyreek Hill being fast and you're worried about taking the top off the defense. It's when they throw it to him on a 5-yard out, and now you have to tackle this guy in space, and he makes that first defender miss, and now it's a foot race, and he picks up 15. That's the things that they do so well that keep them on track. And when you talk about why they were able to win those first couple of games and even stay relevant throughout Tua being gone, it's because of that right there. The difference to me between the first 3 games and the last 3 is they got a lot of the lucky breaks to go their way in those first 3 games. You talk about Baltimore, they were down big, had multiple things go their way to get up out of that stadium. New England, dude, it's 4th and 7. If they just tackle Jalen Waddle, it's a different ball game. 3 defenders.
And Mac Jones just played horrific.
Absolutely, but the play that really changed a lot of it was a 4th and 7 where 3 defenders are right there around Jalen Waddle, and they just don't tackle him. They allow him to split it, and part of that is on how gifted he is.
Right.
The run after.
Right. The throw was great. The catch was great. Like, give credit. But
it was
if you're relying on that game in and game out.
Yeah, it was like a 7-yard pass. It wasn't like anything astronomical, but the run after. We talked about the Bills game. It was a 3rd, I think, 17 that they ended up completing. critical point in the game. Like, those are the type of things that they do that are very fluky at times. But that was what was going their way in those wins. Whereas now, when you're watching the tape, it didn't bounce their way like that these past couple of games. And part of that, with Tua not being out there, I do account some of that to him, because he is, even though I don't think he's an elite quarterback, he is still clearly better than Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson right now. But that, to me, is their offense. So when I'm looking at it, man, I'm just simply, I break it down. You know how I do. Advantages and disadvantages. The stuff that I feel like makes me just uneasy when I'm looking at this team: the receivers, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle. I look at their blitz package defensively, because outside of Jalen Phillips, I'm not really worried about a ton of them one-on-one, but they blitz a ton. They like to show up at the line of scrimmage. And what does that do for offensive lines and for young quarterbacks? It confuses them. You look at them against the Minnesota Vikings, that was probably their best game in terms of generating pressure consistently. But it was a lot of just dudes running free. It was, hey, man, is this guy blitzing or not? Oh, I slid this way, but the backside guy came. Oh, dang. All right. I thought I was going to double this tackle right here, but he loops around, and now he's a free rusher. It's a lot of that in terms of them winning. And now Jalen Phillips, he did have a good game. He ended up, I think it was, three QB hits, I think it was, in this past game. Maybe, I don't think he got a sack. He either had 3.5 sacks or 3 QB hits and maybe 1 sack total, but he was also getting off. But a lot of what they do is their blitz look. And at times, when I think of how our offensive line plays, we still struggle with communication at times. That Bucs game still was having some miscommunication, man, across that front. And it's not necessarily my guy is better than your guy. It's just, if my guy doesn't know where he's supposed to be going, that's some of the issues that we've had. I mean, even some of the plays where Kenny got hit last week, it was that. It wasn't necessarily a guy just flat out getting beat. We did have that, but that wasn't nowhere near the issue. It was, man, this isn't this is not a screenplay, bro. You need to stay in here and like protect. Oh, man, dude, why y'all slide this way when the pressure's coming out? It's like that type of stuff. And what they like to do pre-snap in terms of how they like to align with their blitzes, that's some of the stuff that I am a little bit concerned about. And then the last thing that I was concerned was just the running backs in the sense of their usage. They shouldn't be a factor, but they can be if we don't do what we're supposed to do in terms of our tackling. Because Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds are
kind of
capable
like the Patriots
backs.
game.
Yes, absolutely. It's just like that. It's like they're not scary, but if you don't respect them, they will hurt you in this type of game. And that's what we can't have happen. We can't allow them to legitimately be able to rely on a running game when we're talking about a Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. We don't need to be worried about that when you got those two animals to deal with. And so far this season, they haven't had the most success running the ball. But if you allow that to happen on top of what they already have at receiver, it could be a nightmare. So that's the part for me where it's like, I'm not over the top concerned about it, but I do want to acknowledge it. But the areas where I think we're going to have strengths, though, man, our pass rush, we should win up front. Now, granted, they're still banged up. Their week 1 starting tackles, they're not there. Terran Armstead is still not even guaranteed that he's going to make it back this week.
Yeah.
And when you talk about Greg Little, that's the guy that's been starting right or left, just depending on, who's been available. He gives up a ton of pressure, whether he's on the right or the left. He gets beat a lot. And when I'm looking at league leader in sacks, Alex Highsmith, I'm saying, bro, this is the matchup. This is the one.
And Malik Reed.
Come on now.
Stride maybe
this is
bit.
the one.
Gain
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And not just do I think we'll be able to win in terms of some of the one-on-ones, but on the flip side, you can trick them as well. You look at the Minnesota Vikings defense. They're up front, man. It wasn't a ton of just, oh, man, Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter are kicking their butts. They were winning, but it was still the pressure in terms of they had free rushers coming through. The disguise was tricking the Dolphins' offensive line at times. So when I look at that, I'm excited about it.
Devin Bush sack this week,
Come on now. The next thing is our wide receivers. When you talk about how to attack this Dolphins defense, you want to throw it. You want to go ahead and attack these dudes, man. I don't think they're like that. Like, Xavier Howard is good, but we talked about him yesterday. He's been giving it up some a little bit, man. But they run a ton of man. And when you talk about that, it puts them in binds at times. And when you have a group that doesn't win a ton of one-on-ones in terms of their pass rush, they don't generate a ton of pressure, and you're playing a ton of man, that's a recipe for disaster. Now, we know some of the numbers per se in terms of what they've given up is a little bit skewed, just because when you talk about going against how Baltimore was able to put up numbers against them, Buffalo put up numbers against them. It was another team I'm drawing a blank on, was also able to have some success like that. We know it could be a little bit, is it really that bad? But to me, I do feel like our receivers, granted, we're not saying that we have a Stephon Diggs. We're not saying that that's the case. But what we are saying is we should be able to win this matchup in a similar fashion
Someone
the way
should
that
be
those
getting
guys
open.
were. Absolutely. That's how I look at it. I'm like, we not saying that we're there, but we got guys that are at least in that upper class. You know what I mean? We're talking about where they're at right now. So to me, I think that that should be an advantage for us. And then, even though he's going to be on the show in a little bit, before we even knew he was going to be on the show, Steven Sims, when you watch the tape, man, their special teams, in particular their coverage units, they give it up a little bit, man. And that is something where the Minnesota Vikings were able to take advantage of. They had a couple of field flipping returns against them in that game, man. So to me, when I think of Steven in this return game, I'm like, the same way we looked at that last week and we said, man, those type of plays matter. Those type of, field flipping plays, those type of, whether you're still in possession of special teams, whatever it is, if you can get something added there, that helps. To me, I look at our special teams and I say, man, Steven Sims, bro, you got to have another one like that. And why not? Why not? Get the hammy right, but why not?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, man.
I got a couple things to add. One of them, whenever you were talking about the Dolphins' pressure and how they will blitz a lot, because I think they are top 5 or 6 in the league in terms of teams that blitz and their percentage of plays that they'll do that. But what's good about that is that now it can't, no matter what, it can cause problems, just confusion and stuff.
I'm with you,
but they're not that amazing at it because I think they're bottom like 3 or 4 in overall pressure that they get on the quarterback.
That's what we're saying.
Knockdowns, hits, and sacks, and all that stuff. Now it could if we don't take care of our business in terms of the offensive line, but I'm really liking how they've been playing recently. So hopefully it's not a problem. And then the other thing to add to, you mentioned the receiving core versus their cornerbacks. We could add Pat to that too. He should cook whatever linebackers on him are also safety.
And he's been practicing. So, and I think it was Coach Tama when they asked him about, just how Claypool had that type of game. It was Matt Canada. Basically saying like whether it's Claypool, whether it's Pat, whoever is in that particular role in terms of working that slot or the number 3 receiver position, they should be able to have another game like that this week, man. So if it is Pat, then yeah, he definitely needs to be the guy there.
So I'm thinking with how the Dolphins play, with how they score, it should actually be a very similar formula from what I talked about last week against the Bucs. Because of how we were limited on defense. All we talked about was like, dude, just back up, let them run the ball, let them throw short passes, be bend but don't break.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way with the Dolphins having Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Let them get in the red zone. I don't think they're going to score. The red zone offense isn't that amazing.
Nope.
Just don't give up the big play. And I feel like you're seeing that a lot from around the league. A lot of people are complaining about the low scores and everything. I just feel like teams have got fed up over the last 3-4 years of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. These type of dudes just scoring in the snap of a finger.
Everybody is saying snap that ball 10 to 12 times. Make you execute or make them execute. That's what it is.
And I feel like that should be the strategy here too.
Yeah.
And I like our offense. I like how we've been trending and everything. I don't think the Dolphins defense is that good. They got some good players. We talked about that yesterday. But really as a whole, there's not too much that worries me about this game. If we take care of our business, if our defense can play like what they did last week, and I don't see why they can't. We just did it against the Bucs and Brady. Why can't we do it against Miami?
I will say this is the difference to me though. Go ahead.
Their receivers get better separation than the Bucs. No. And can take the top off. I guess that would be the difference.
No, more than that. Intentions. Tampa wasn't as intentional in terms of force feeding Mike Evans. They're going to force feed Tyreek Hill. They're going to force feed Jalen Waddle. That's the difference to me. I thought last week with the Bucs, they were doing a lot more of trying to hand it off to Fournette, trying to start some type of run game. Miami, they're not lying to themselves like that. They are who they are. We talked about how it didn't matter if it was Skylar Thompson, Teddy Bridgewater, or Tua. Everything is what? Run action, shot, crosser. They're going to force this ball to those two guys. And the challenge that presents is, it's not about can you do it. It's about can you do it every single time. Because when we're, as we just broke about, absolutely. How many times do we watch those two guys in particular? And it's like, okay, yeah, you tackle them 7 times, but the one time you don't, they take it 60. The one time you don't, they take it 40. That's what they bring to the table. So it's more so just the repetitiveness. And that is what we did not get in Tampa. Tampa was definitely more spread out. It was like, oh, can we hit Godwin? We're going to go to Evans. We're going to really try to get Fournette involved. We're going to work these tight ends. They're not doing that. When we look at them, man, who do they target on pass plays? It's either Tyreek or it's Jalen. And if it's not, you might get a sprinkle of Gesicki. Other than that, though, we know where they want to go with that rock, and they will make our guys have to tackle. So my big thing in terms of not necessarily being fearful, but the big concern is not just keeping a lid on it, because that's going to be a challenge in its own right, the tackle, the catch part. Because they get a ton of yards that way,
We
man.
did that well last week, so we need to keep it up.
We did, but like I said, man,
These dudes are
Godwin
different.
and Evans
They're a little bit more
is
slippery.
night and day compared to
You're
these
right.
type of receivers. And I always think to myself, man, whenever you're in practice and you're preparing for this type of speed, you watch it on tape, it's fast. You like, bro, I got that though. You do it in a walkthrough, all right, I got that, bro. You see it in practice. Practice squad receiver runs, oh, I got this concept, bro. Until you get out there and it's actually Tyreek Hill and you're like, oh, this is speed that I've never seen before. This is not like I've seen in practice. This is not what it looked like on tape. That's the stuff, man, where it's like, how fast can we adjust to that? How fast do we adapt to that? Because them dudes coming off the bus rolling. Like, they don't warm up to it. When they get that rock, they full go right now. And you see early on in the games with the Dolphins, they're, hey, man, we're going to get you these rocks early. We're going to see. We're going to make them know early and often this is where we're going with that ball. So, to me, man, we really got to be on our P's and Q's in terms of the tackling element of it, man. No.
I guess the thing that benefits us in terms of more just similarities or differences between Dolphins and Bucs would be Bucs had Brady, Dolphins have Tua. Now, Tua has made some nice throws. But it's like, do you really believe it? Do you really believe it's going to be that consistent? In particular, his first game coming off of this dramatic concussion.
But see, that's part of what makes him like this iffy quarterback, because we see his numbers, but we also know that I'm only going here. I'm only going here. And some of this stuff, I'm just like, we said it's kind of fluky. Some of it is a 3-yard pass and the guy just, is picking up 15 to 12 or 15 to 20 off of it. Whereas with Brady, it's way more complex. Brady, it's like, yo, everybody's a weapon. You got to worry about his above the neck, all that type of stuff. Tua is just, man, he's going here.
And even if one of these receivers get open.
Yeah. Can he consistently hit him?
Oh, yeah, exactly. There's a good chance he's going to underthrow it. Because it's not like he hasn't done that either. They just really haven't had to pay for it yet.
They have not. It's been some where those guys come back. Yeah, but I just don't believe it just yet. I don't. I think that I don't even know if, like I said, I don't know if it's really growth or it's just he has two guys right now. Almost like I'm trying to think.
The McDaniel system.
I was going to use this analogy, but I didn't want to do this because you might come back and use this against me later on. I don't really want to do that with my quarter. See? Why did I know you were going to go there?
I'd say Kirk's a better thrower of the football than Tua.
He is, but that concept, though. Think about, like, Kirk always has numbers, and you would think he's in oh, man, you look at Rod, you look at these guys, and it's like, on paper, the numbers are going to flirt with it, but he is not that type of guy. He has a Justin Jefferson and an Adam Thielen. Oh, and his worst guy is the Kyle Rudolph dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's the scenario. Now, I do think that's a higher level of it. It's a higher version, but it's like that, man. Yeah. And instead of them having Dalvin Cook, they just split it up with Mostert and Edmonds.
Yeah.
But it's very similar. That's what it reminds me of, man.
Either way, I really like our chances this week.